Hi, everybody. This is Louise Chalet, the coordinator for the Central Region of Livable Communities. And I thank you for listening to our webinar today, October 18th, 2022. We are pleased to have with us Vanessa Perez, who is the Community Engagement Manager of the Alzheimer's Association, and she deals with bilingual as well as all other constituents who needs our services. She's also on the board of Young Professional Alzheimer's in Rytown, and she's a staff liaison. So Vanessa has a lot of training in this, and we're delighted she's going to be here. We're going to go over the signs of Alzheimer's, some of the treatments, what you should do to follow through when you have people in your lives who are showing these signs. And we're going to record this. You will be able to get it on the Care Prep Westchester website. We also have Vanessa's information, which we will hold up later so you can see that. But she works for the Alzheimer's Association, the Hudson Valley chapter. So with that, I am pleased to introduce you to Vanessa. I also want to thank Jennifer Schwartz Crawford for Livable Communities from the Department of Senior Program and Services, who was inspirational in making things happen. So thank you so much, Jen. Okay, I throw it out to you, Vanessa.
So happy to be here. And yeah, it's a chat, if you will, of understanding the 10 signs, the 10 warning signs of knowing the 10 signs, which will help early detection of Alzheimer's. And by no way is it a diagnostic or anything like that. It's more seeing the different signs, one or more that may be of concern for a person that may be experiencing it or a loved one that we may have. So any questions that we can hold off towards the end of the program. And so with that, I shall start. Basically here in this presentation, it talks about, I'm going to skip a couple of the videos so that for the interest of in time, but our goal today is really to understand what the difference is between normal, typical age-related changes to our memory, thinking, and behavior versus changes that should be cause of concern. So our goal is to describe those typical age-related changes, recognize these common warning signs, discuss those tips for approaching someone about memory concerns, explain the importance of early detection, such as what we're doing now, and identify certain assessments, and of course, make the resources available through the Alzheimer's Association. Okay, so we're gonna go through. They give you some fictitious videos of certain people in some of the videos, but what we'll do is we'll first try to understand what dementia is, right? Because many people have dementia and Alzheimer's are used interchangeably. And so one of the things that we want to do is explain that difference. Dementia is the umbrella term, okay? So many, it's almost like saying cancer, right? Cancer is the umbrella term. Now, what type of cancer, lung, breast, prostate, ovarian, etc., those are the different types of cancer. In a similar fashion, you have dementia, which is the umbrella term, and underneath it, you have Lewy bodies, you have vascular dementia, you have Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's makes up 60 to 80% of dementia. And let's see.
Dementia is the umbrella term for an individual's changes in memory, thinking, or reasoning. There are many possible causes of dementia, and Alzheimer's is the most common cause. Other causes of dementia are vascular dementia, which is marked by changes in the blood flow in the blood vessels in the brain. Dementia with Lewy bodies, identified by specific brain changes throughout the brain that include the buildup of a protein known as alpha-synuclein, and frontal temporal dementia, which is marked by brain cell loss in the front sections of the brain or the frontal lobe. Each type of dementia may have distinct characteristics to cause specific behaviors in the individual, but there is also some overlap in behaviors among the types of dementia.
So there you have it. When you start seeing, let's say a person that may have had many strokes or stroke, you could start seeing that vascular, what would be vascular dementia, she had mentioned, or Lewy body. You will start perhaps seeing the person exhibit falls, less balance. So you start noticing certain changes in that loved one that you may be able to identify with the behaviors that are with that particular dementia, like frontal temporal, kind of like your stop sign. And that you will start seeing people that have less control of their impulses. And so those are, again, light things that we will start seeing, but it's good to have them on note and notice. So let's understand now what Alzheimer's disease.
More than 100 years ago, Dr. Carlos Alzheimer described specific changes in the brain, what we call the formation of plaques. Now, Alzheimer's is a progressive brain disease that's marked by these key changes. It's thought to impact memory, thinking, and behavior. Brain has three main parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Each one plays a role in how the body functions. The cerebrum fills up most of your skull. It is part of the brain most involved in remembering, problem solving, thinking, and even feeling. There are about 100 billion nerve cells or neurons throughout the brain transmit messages or memories, feelings, thoughts. Alzheimer's disease causes nerve cells to die, which leads to the brain tissue loss, or what we call shrinkage, and causes loss of function and communication between cells. These changes can cause the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, such as memory loss, problems of thinking, planning, behavioral issues, and even at the end stages, problems with swallowing.
National class?
Which class?
National. No. Okay, now we're going to learn more about why it's important to know the signs. Okay, this is important to know what the cause of Alzheimer's.
We know that we change over time. The warning signs of Alzheimer's can be warning signs of a number of things. But when you see those, for instance, it's important to check it out, to consult with the doctor to find out what you're dealing with.
So, of course, it's important to know these signs. That's the reason why we're taking care of this today, because it allows us to plan ahead and plan for ourselves and for others. Okay, so here on the screen is what we will be discussing today, right? So we have the 10 warning signs. As I mentioned, they are intended to be a tool to help identify unusual changes in a person's memory, thinking, or behavior. And we will go into each one of them in during this presentation. So the first one is being the memory loss that disrupts daily life. So here, one of the most common signs of Alzheimer's, especially early on, is forgetting recently learned information. Sometimes a person's past memory can be intact. You know, they can recall something from their childhood or have a conversation with you about something they did in 1987 as if it were 1980. But yet not know what they had for breakfast that day. So when I speak about memory loss that disrupts daily life, it's a memory loss that will be a hindrance for them to be able to continue being able to have their familiar tasks and move on with the daily normal life. Forgetting important dates or events, repeatedly asking the same questions are things that you may find or see in someone that is it has a type of memory loss. Increasingly relying on memory aids. So when you start seeing a lot of the sticky notes, etc. A lot of the sticky notes being placed on refrigerators, etc., using more and more memory aids, or leaning on others to for things or tasks that in the past were handled on their own. That's an area of concern. Okay, so that's the type of memory loss that we're looking at. When a person cannot is relying a lot more on other people or memory. Of course, we're getting some information but being able to remember it later, that's normal. That's for all of us. So this is why we say this is a tool, a list, and it could be a combination of. It's not one single sign will signify some dementia. The second is challenges in planning or solving problems. So some people may experience new difficulties in developing or following a plan, doing a budgeting plan at work, or things of that nature. Now, when we make an occasional error managing a bill or doing our household finances, that is normal. What we're speaking about here is not being able to concentrate and follow a plan, follow a recipe, if you will. It's a 2 eggs, 3 eggs, that this recipe perhaps that they've been doing all their lives. They start having challenges with following and solving problems. Difficulty completing familiar tasks. And these overlap, as you may be able to start seeing. People with dementia find it hard to complete daily tasks, such as driving to a familiar place, or writing a grocery list, or remembering how to play or the rules of a favorite game. That's what we're speaking about in difficulty completing familiar tasks. Conversely, if something that's a typical age-related change, maybe what happened to me last night, needing help with a remote control. Then we just got a brand new remote control. Trying to understand certain settings on it. But being able to turn on the TV, which is something that, let's say, if the person is in their own home, and it's something that is familiar to them that they've been doing, but yet now are having issues, that is the type of concern that we want to take note of. We also have confusion with time or place, which is number 4. An individual living with Alzheimer's or other types of dementia may lose track of dates, seasons, even the passage of time. So an example that I have of a sign that's when I noticed that something was not right with my mom was when in August of last year, she wanted to wear a winter coat. And I asked her, really not knowing that this is what she was going through, and I asked her, why do you want to wear a winter coat? She goes, oh, just in case it gets cold later. And I explained to her that it was summer, and that in summer there would not be a necessity for a winter coat. But it is when, and she quickly bounced back. She goes, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. But that's when you start noticing that there is that type of confusion. That's what we're speaking about with this particular sign. Having trouble understanding something that's not currently happening. or becoming confused as to where they are or even how they got there. That's also part of not being able to explain how they got to this center, for example. Those are things that we need to know. So again, what's typical? What's not remembering an appointment on a certain day or forgetting that you have an appointment? That happens to all of us. Not remembering where we parked in the parking lot. That happens to all of us many a times. That's age related. Trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. This one is is interesting. Some individuals with Alzheimer's or another dementia may experience vision problems. Alzheimer's does affect the vision. And of course, it leads to that difficulty in balance. It leads to trouble reading and problems judging that distance and contrast. So that's why it becomes later on even more difficult with driving. Being able to understand the red in a red sign or the yellow in a yield sign. And as I said, being able to judge distance, this will impact their driving and their environment around them. When we're younger, we have 180 peripheral vision. And as we get older, that vision becomes more narrow. A person with Alzheimer's literally have kind of like this amount of view. They those with advanced Alzheimer's would have basically the view. They cannot see left or right. They will have about this amount of vision when you have that advanced Alzheimer's. And granted, we're speaking about early detection. But just so, again, so that we understand, that's why sometimes we see in people with advanced Alzheimer's reaching across the table to grab someone else's meal because they cannot see or do the function of looking down and see that they have to manipulate right in front of them. But Alzheimer's does ultimately impact the vision. Now, vision changes such as that come from cataract or from glaucoma, etc. That is normal aging. That is, macular degeneration. That is something different than what we're speaking about here. In fact, some of the things also that we have certain strategies when a person starts wandering. We have certain strategies that we do or we recommend, such as painting a door frame the same color as the locks and so that the person just sees one continuous color and does not exit the house. Certain strategies like that, but that's something different. Again, all because of what is done, trouble understanding those visual images and spatial relationships. Also knowing the depth and differences between steps, that's why you get a lot of falls. Number 6 is new problems with words in speaking or writing. So that's number 6 up there. Individuals may start having trouble following or keeping up with a conversation. They may stop in the middle of a conversation actually and forget what they were talking about, continuously repeating themselves. They'll have the struggle of finding that right word and may start calling things out by descriptive terms. So, that can you give me that thing, that long stick that I could write with, or, oh, you mean a pen or a pencil? Yes, that's what I mean. So they may start using descriptive words as opposed to, because they'll forget the actual name of the object. So that's one of that's what we mean about with number 6. Now, a normal age-related change, occasionally forgetting to have the right word. I think during this presentation, I've occasionally forgotten the right word. That's normal age-related. Again, what we're talking about here is forgetting to now name things, forgetting to being able to continue have a conversation. Misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. very key. This sign is often one of the biggest ones of concern for people. And I want to clarify, this is not just about losing your keys, as I said, or not knowing where you place your pocketbook. It goes a little bit more in depth. It's, misplacing things from time to time, that's normal, age related. But a person with Alzheimer's may lose things or start getting anxious, right? And they will start, if you will, may start placing their purse or hiding it someplace, and then forget where they actually kept the item. Something age-related, if you will, is if I walk in the door and the phone is ringing, I walk in the door, I put my car keys on the table, and the purse on the table, I go grab the phone, and I pick it up. Oh, it's my friend Samantha. Hey, how are you? And we have the conversation, etc. Stay chatting for a few minutes, close the phone. Now I'm looking for, I'm like, oh, what did I leave my purse? Or what did I leave my car keys? Being able to retrace my steps. Oh yeah, that's right. When I walked in the door, I dropped them off on the kitchen table because the phone was ringing. That ability, that executive function of being able to retrace your steps is key. A person with Alzheimer's or dementia does not have. They are unable to go back and have the ability to retrace their steps and figure out what they did. And of course, because of this, they will be a start to accusing others and becoming suspicious of others of stealing their things or misplacing them on purpose, etc. So you start seeing a little bit, again, warning sign. That's what we're talking about here. Number 8, decreased or poor judgment. Individuals may experience changes in judgment in decision making, such as poor judgment with dealing with money, or paying less attention to hygiene and grooming. Now, sadly, this, especially if they're living alone, this makes them much more susceptible to scams, things of that nature, because they don't have or are losing that wherewithal to have that better judgment with the person on the other line. This, as I said, this could be especially common for those that live alone. Making a bad decision once in a while and forgetting to get an oil change or something of that nature, that's normal. But what we're talking about here is having is seeing a person that was once able to remember or do certain things, even a person that used to dress meticulous. One of the folks that we have called the 1-800 number spoke to us is a gentleman where he started noticing something was wrong with his dad because he would be meticulously dressed everywhere. And he started noticing that his grooming started changing. He wasn't bathing as often. He wasn't wearing iron shirts, or he would be repeating the same shirts and it was soiled. So it was that type of poor judgment that led him to understand that something was not right. Withdrawal from work or social activity. So of course, given things such as not remembering words, having difficulty with visual images or space, understanding that spatial relationship, that's going to start having people be less interested in family or social engagement. Someone that's experienced dementia-related changes may start to lose their ability to, as I said, to hold a conversation, to have to be engaged, and they also may start becoming overly sensitive to, let's say, noises around them, etc. Like when you go to a restaurant and there's all these things happening all at once, they'll start withdrawing, not wanting to be or be engaged in family or social engagement. And withdrawing because they also have less confidence, not having they know something is happening with them, and not finding that right word or misplacing things. It's slowly losing their confidence in being able to engage. And lastly, that change in mood, in personality. Individuals with Alzheimer's dementia may become, as I said, increasingly confused, suspicious of others, anxious, and frustrated. So they may get easily upset when they're out of their comfort zone. So that's one of the things that we want to look at. Someone with Alzheimer's or dementia becomes, as I said, more fearful and angry, and it's something that should actually be addressed. So those are typical age-related, early detection signs that you may want to start looking at. And as I said, it's developed by the Alzheimer's Association as a tool. This is not in no way a diagnostic, but a tool. And so we give the recap here. These signs are a guide, and they help identify certain problems that someone may have. And it may be a combination of, it's not just one item. Warning signs in varying degrees. If you notice any of these changes in yourself or someone else, it's very important to start having that conversation with your doctor. Now, we also speak about the importance of early detection, which is what we have here. Put this video on because, as we mentioned, we may not, the person will not notice it on themselves, or we may not notice it on ourselves, but they will usually be family or friends that will be the first one to notice the change.
You know, it's a very interesting phenomenon that people who have them are less aware of it than family members or their friends who know them well. One of the reasons for that is our ability to monitor ourselves, which is an important part of brain function, decreases when we start having memory problems. Not in everybody, but commonly, more than half the people with memory problems. So the person is just not keeping track of the trouble they're having day to day. Are okay. They see, boy, this is starting to happen a lot. The person's not aware. So the family's more aware, and they talk to their loved one about it. I noticed you've been repeating yourself. They said, I'm not repeating myself. And that could either be due to the fact or they may not want to.
Yeah, that may be one of the items, right? It's fearful, it's scary. So sometimes not wanting to acknowledge what is going on. But that's part of what, as a family member, we want to help address. So in essence, we have these also these 10 steps to approach memory concerns, and is I can very well send this off to you to everyone here, and each one of these boxes speaks of a step to do when you want to approach a loved one. So we won't go into it now, but it's from assessing the situation to all the way to having a conversation, how to have it, how to, because sometimes it may be you or it may be someone else that's easier to have a conversation with your loved one. How to reach out to support and seeing, of course, your doctor, and even who would go with your loved one to the doctor. So
There are a number of benefits.
this is basically what she's talking about is the importance of early detection. Again, because of the interest of time, I'm skipping through some of these videos, but being able to see any unusual changes in a person, taking action by conversation, that's what those steps help us discuss, those approach memory concerns as a guide. And the early detection, of course, helps you plan for the future, helps you start seeing what things need to be taken care of, both in yourself and the family, with your loved one, and explore even treatment options, being able to be part of a clinical trial, being able to, for a clinical study and have access to medication. It's something to be discussed, with your primary. And basically, one of the things that, we have here as well is they experience some of the same mood, issues that we talked about in the signs, or if it's, a thyroid problem that a person has, as I mentioned, part of the assessment and the test that you will be, receiving will be to rule out any other form of disease that may mask, these signs as well. So it's always good to know, it's not always, oh yeah, this is immediately, it's Alzheimer's, oh, it's dementia. No, it's trying to understand what it is and then taking it from there. And lastly, if all these are negative, this is what, it could be. So we, here at the Alzheimer's Association, we have a lot of wonderful resources. The website is, one where you could get all the, latest information. We also have the science hub, it's an app. You could get the latest research, the latest treatment information. On the phone, it's 1-800-272-3900 offers you master level clinicians that will speak with you. And that's, I think, one of the most amazing values, that, you or your loved one can have is this 1-800 number as a resource, because they will help navigate. You give them your zip code and they will not only find the resources nearby you, but if you need to meet with that, particular clinician, whether in person or via Zoom or on the phone, whichever the case may be, they are readily, available to speak and help you start and navigate this journey. And online, you will find a lot of wonderful information, as well as in the community, resource, finder, the CRF, or communities nationwide. You have all sorts of information, such as finding this particular program near your zip code, etc. And again, there's ways to join the fight. There's ways for us to become advocates, volunteering, advocacy, trial match is very important. Walk to End Alzheimer's in the longest day. We have different ways for you to be involved, as well if you're interested. So that concludes my presentation for today. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer. I'll gladly send out, some of the information that,
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Yeah, I've learned, and it's a very important topic to learn about. It requires sensitivity and understanding, and it's important that we learn all this information. I know Jen has a question on that came through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Renata, did you have a question?
Yes, sorry. Hi. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very informative. My name is Renata. I'm a social work student at the Lehman College, and I'm doing my internship with the TIPS program. So I have a question for you. What would you say would be the best strategies to help people, to help emotionally support someone who is getting frustrated and angry because of their diagnosis?
well, that is, that we actually have, an entire, program on behaviors and conversations,
Mhm.
because it is such a dense subject. In fact, you could find some of the information online, or I'll gladly send you over some of our guides. We have certain guide points to help you depending on, that frustration, understanding what it is that's happening to them, because it's very frightening. And it's very, it's a moment of unrest. And to Louise's point, it's important to have that empathy and that understanding. Of course, we also, if you're having a really significant problems that you may want to find a solution right away, I would suggest calling that 1-800 number. They have amazing strategies there to help you better deal with the situation, because at some point it might also be, depending how frustrated they may get very aggressive. And we want you to be also in a place where you're also safe. But I could also get your information and connect you with someone if you would like that.
That'd be great.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I have a comment and a quick question. I just want to point out that we learned the hard way in my family that when my mom was very sick, out of nowhere, she was in a hospital and she was not acting like herself. She didn't know me. She asked me if my name was Valerie. I don't know where that came from. And she started taking food off the hospital table and just pushing it in her mouth. It turned out she had a UTI, urinary tract infection. And any senior who goes into the hospital should be tested for that because it mimics Alzheimer's. And within less than a day of taking the medicine, she was back to normal. Yeah. I said to her, Mom, do I have a love sister somewhere that I didn't know about? I don't know. But so I think that's important. The other is, as of this month, I think it's coming up, people can now get hearing aids over the counter. I'm not sure if it's for severe, but certainly for moderate hearing loss. And a lot of Alzheimer's cases happen when people withdraw, they're isolated because they're embarrassed because they can't hear. So I think that's something that I'm hoping they'll come out and publicize how to get them, whether you need a prescription or you can just go to CVS. But I think that's an important piece of the treatment or prevention.
It's right there with when I was thinking about the visual images or problems with the words and speaking in sign number 5. Yes, hearing is very, very important. And you start seeing that also, that withdrawal from the dining room table, from the conversations, because they can't hear. And it adds to the issues that that person may be experiencing already with dementia. So you're absolutely right. Thank you for bringing that up. And yes, it's very important. That's what I said, that part of the assessments and to be able to get a proper diagnosis is ruling out all these other things from deficiency in a certain vitamin, a thyroid problem, etc. So as to get to the point where, is this now leading to a type of dementia?
Thank you. Go for the low-hanging fruit first, right?
Absolutely.
And get that. We don't want to give everyone. Anyway.
I wanted to share too, as a member of the Young Professional Alzheimer's Council of YPAC, it is an excellent resource out there for especially young professionals to network and to connect with people from all different backgrounds. And the networking has been fantastic. And then of course the doing good is just wonderful. The fundraising and all that kind of thing. I know that we were very successful with the recent walk. We had an event around that called Ales for Alls, which was great. It was a lot of fun. So it's a really nice collaborative process. And so again, when we send out Vanessa's information, if you are interested in getting involved, I would highly recommend it. It's
Yeah,
great.
if you have members, I know there's certain requirements because they are the young professionals and they are, it's a very unique and amazing group. Because they're also starting off some or in their careers, they're starting families, and yet they're also these young caregivers because they may have a mother or a father or a grandparent that is with the disease. So they are kind of like that sandwich generation where they're caregiving and trying to understand what is going on, as well as, doing and starting their life and their careers, etc. So it's a very unique and amazing council, and they raised, yes, over $7,000 in their walk, amazing feat, wonderful. So yeah, it's a pleasure to work with.
And caregivers need to get support for themselves, by the way.
Absolutely.
That's
We
very
care a lot to
important.
the caregivers, very much so, because they are the ones at the forefront, taking care of the person with the dementia, the person with the disease. And so it's very important to give them that respite, give them that ability to the resources. So that's why when Renata asked a question, definitely I would love to send over some information.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Jen, who's my tech
Yeah.
hero. She's taught me everything I know about technology. And to Vanessa, thank you so much. We've learned so much from you. I'm not sure how we can get can we get her contact information up or? Yeah, so we'll get your contact information up. This is being recorded, and when it is ready, Jen will let me know. It's going to be on Care Prep Westchester, www.careprepwestchester, and you or your colleagues can listen to it at your leisure. So I thank you all. This is an important topic, and I hope that we'll be able to meet again and move into the other options of what to do as we get to the more advanced stages.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa and Jen and Renata.